Alright, we're back to work on the Prelude transmission. We've got everything laying out here. Everything's been cleaned, ready for assembly. Once you're done assembling everything, you get done peening the counter shaft nut in place, set everything out, ready to go. So now we're putting the shafts together. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to let you fumble around with this for a bit.
Well, we'll try. The tricky part's coming up here. You got to hold all this together as one assembly. You want pulling that a little closer so I don't have to reach as far?
I could, but you're f***ing it all up.
Why am I f***ing it all up?
What goes in first?
Oh, shit.
That's staying!
Alright, yep, I forgot. Okay, now that I've got my... By the way, we actually already had this right on, but do not forget this little thrust washer. It goes on your main shaft.
How the f*** am I going to edit this together, man? I'm splicing shit all over the place. It's going to look goofy as hell.
Would you care to step in? I'm doing my best.
Man, let a pro take over for a minute here. Jesus Christ almighty. Set those over there. Will you bring this closer? No, I won't. God, I'm sipping that Coke. No, you can't. There's no Coke. Alright, so we're going to take our main shaft and our counter shaft here. We're going to go ahead and make sure we've got our thrust washer sitting on the front. This is the input shaft thrust washer. It's going to go on the front when we slide this back in. You don't want to forget that. Before we actually go putting any of this together, we got to drop the differential in here. So of course we're going to take our diff. You see you got one long side, one short side. Make sure your case is facing down. You can see that you got a deep section here. We've already actually put some Lucas on here. I don't recommend running Lucas normally in a vehicle, but it makes a great assembly lube. We'll slide this guy right in here nice and gentle, being careful not to crush our fingers in there, because inevitably I always seem to do that. Alright, turns nice and smooth. We'll move back to our shafts. We're going to go ahead and mesh the two sets of gears together. Now if you look, you're going to see that you can take your first gear meshed up. You'll see where they clearly line up together. Make sure you got everything meshed up nice and neat. You're going to take your shift forks. Your shift forks, your front of your input shaft is also where the front of your input forks, and you can tell where the input fork front is based on the little pin that's going to go in the cross. You'll see that in just a minute. We'll go ahead and line these up. Make sure they're sitting down on there nice and pretty. Make sure everything falls right into place. Alright, at that point you can take the entire assembly all together. It's going to be a little slippery. And you're going to take your case, your input shaft, go right down through your input shaft bearing. Now I'm holding with my finger, I'm holding the rear, or the front input shaft thrust washer in place so I don't lose that. Now as you come down, you got to go ahead and line your driven gear, your pinion gear. It's literally what that is the pinion gear. Slide it in. Now I don't quite have my shift forks in place. I want to make sure everything lines up nice and neat as I go in. I'll wiggle her up a little bit. There we go. Shift forks are in. And the first test you can do, everything should spin. If anything is binding right here, you've got problems. Don't go any further.
I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees so you can see the differential spinning from that angle. I don't think they can.
There, we can give you all a little better angle. Alright, so you see I'm spinning the gears. And as you can see, everything should be spinning with no problem. If I had tiny little hands and reach in there, but I don't, you can spin the diff and make sure everything moves. Nothing should be bound up. If anything is binding up at this point, you've definitely got problems. You want to stop and reassess everything. Your rear idler gear is going to go in next. You're going to slide the idler gear. You see you got a pin that's popped out one side. You got the bolt on top, the bolt hole on top rather. Make sure that you slide it facing down. You're just going to take this guy, wiggle right into place. Make sure you get the little pin down in the hole. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that. Pin will slide down in the hole. Same deal here. You've got the, there. So I've now got it in reverse gear. And you see it's not going to move because, well, I'm in reverse right now. So we have to make sure we bolt down the reverse idler holder here. I'm just going to bring this right up here. That's how you switch into reverse gear. Make sure that your shift pin, see, I'll rotate this back around so I can show you guys the pin. The shift lever assembly right here has got the pin that's going to actually connect to the reverse gear. You got to make sure that that guy's in position. Bring your idler gear up. Boop, boop. Two 10mm bolts right down here. I'll get these started, and then I will let Keith get back to work on this bad boy. until next time he screws something up. Dun dun. There you go, get in place. And again, one more check, just make sure, yes, everything moves nicely. We don't want anything locked in place. You're going to see that as we reassemble this thing, I'm big on testing it. I like to make sure that nothing's binding anywhere because it's easier to take care of. You know, as you make more steps and you move further and forward as you assemble this thing, you don't want to put it all back in the vehicle and then find out, oh, it doesn't work. That'd be bad. Alright, I'll let you go ahead and tighten everything up from there. Now back to your regular scheduled host. Have you watched yourself on your videos though?
A lot of this, well see, you like the talking, a lot of this is the kind of stuff that while I'm working on this, you could actually just have this playing at like 2 times speed with some music in the background. You don't need to, you know, while I'm putting all the bolts in this.
Oh yeah, no, this whole part right here, yeah, we're just going to speed this up.
Alright, so this, now, I need to put,
Make sure they can see you.
yeah, I already told you, I made sure everything was over here.
Well, I was thinking you might just want to slide that back and then leave this all open.
Alright. On the other side, on the other half of the transmission housing, you put the bearing race in. You gotta make sure you got this flat plate goes in first. Then you got a thicker shim here. This kind of is a spacer, and then you got your bearing race for your differential bearing. All right, so we got the bearing race installer tool. Make sure you get the appropriate size arbor for the race. You want it to fit in there. It's got a beveled end just to match, or closely match the beveled insert of the bearing. You're going to want this one to be a pretty level surface. It needs to be as level as possible because we're going to use this block of wood. So we're going to hammer down on it. Kind of lay this in there as square as you can possibly get it. You want to make sure this is going in square. You go in from an angle, you're going to have bad times. The dead blow hammer.
Go down until it stops.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to beat on it. You know, you'll see when it goes in there. It'll go down until it stops. Yeah, you can hear the difference in sound when it's striking the back of the plate. It won't sound nearly as hollow. So this race doesn't sit perfectly flush. It's got just a little bit of a proudness to it, but it's down there all the way. You can hear the difference.
Yeah.
So,
like I said, this is what I'm concerned with, is that we might need a shorter spacer when you go.
We'll see.
Well, no, when you bolt this down, that's like I said. Don't bother putting any silicone in it yet. We'll torque it down fully, and we'll make sure it still spins smoothly.
well, we did that the first time. I'm going to bolt it all together without silicone,
Yes.
spin it, and then test it.
Because that's what we have to test, is how much force does it take.
Yeah. All right. It actually says that in the book to do all that.
Yes. I just want to make an intro video.
All right. So now, put the two halves together. You got to be careful, make sure everything lines up. All right. Now, once it's sitting on there, you'll see there's still a gap. The very important step you're not going to want to get.
Snap ring pliers. Because we got spread.
Mine actually. Do you want to get the camera to see directly down in here? Because they're not going to. I can tell them about it, but they're not going to see it. Actually, I can pick this back up and show them.
Yeah, just take the housing up and go. You see that?
All right. So, inside of your housing, the back there, you can see that snap ring. Goes right through here where my finger is poking through. There's a snap ring. That is meant to go around the groove in your counter shaft. There's a little groove in the last bearing in your counter shaft. That's why the tail shaft housing will not go down all the way. It'll leave about a 1/4 inch gap. You got that 1/4 inch gap. You're basically
3/8.
Who gives a God?
Just throw you off your base there. This was a what? Spread it out, right?
Yeah, you gotta spread it. So get your snap ring pliers in there. You're gonna have to spread the ring apart around that counter shaft bearing.
There we go. It's going down in there now.
Yeah, there we go.
And
Slide on
actually,
that.
hold on, 'cause it's not quite all the way down. Or is it? It doesn't look like it. It's not down. I think you said it's supposed to be in that groove.
I thought it. Well, I know it goes around there. I'm pretty sure it goes in that groove.
Is this all the way down? No, it's not.
It's not all the way down.
Let's give it a little tappy tap. and
On
see
the
if it-
sides.
Yeah, just wrap it on the side a little. I'm pushing down on this at the same time, but it's. Hold on. Okay, yeah, we're down around the edge now. We are down around the edge, but we're not all the way down in place yet. We're just spread out around it. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to spread this, and I'm going to push the entire snap ring back to make sure it's down over that back lip. It's a little tricky because you want to catch kind of the edges of it. There you go. Now, it's still not quite down the groove, but it's not all the way down either, so I think. It's almost down in there. Let's make sure we don't have anything backed up. Actually, this is all the way down.
It is on this side, yeah.
Yeah, this is all the way down, and you can see how it's not quite caught in there. But you know what I think's
I
gonna.
think when you spin it,
Once
it'll
we spin,
draw
exactly.
it in, yeah.
So what I want to do is with everything down, because remember we want to make sure this whole damn thing still spins. It's heavy. I'm gonna let you flip that over. Shit.
What flipping? I thought we just spin it with this right here.
Well, we had a what the did we use before? Oh, looks like a pair of pliers in there.
Yeah.
In order to grab these edges and be like,
She's
yeah,
spinning.
yeah, look, I'm spinning.
Hasn't quite fallen in that.
And of course, this is
Of course,
not.
when you torque it down, it's going to draw it even more.
Yeah, no, don't hammer it. It's dead. But the important thing is that it does spin. Now it's got a little bit more drag than I would want, but it also doesn't have that little bit of thickness of the silk, and you also haven't torqued it. So you need to go ahead and bolt the whole thing down, torque it down, and then we have to determine how much pressure that's taking.
All right. Well, now's the part where I get all the.
The bolts. Short one, medium one. Why medium one? Because short one go all the way down. But no, you go ahead. Have fun. Good. I mean, feel free to cross-track it. But if you notice, I've not started tightening a single thing, and every single one of these has the same head depth.
Those are both mine. There are two hangers. One goes back here. You forgot it.
Okay, so the hanger goes back here. Must be the one with the bolt on, because I didn't see a bolt on this front one, right?
I don't know which one goes where. That doesn't tell me. Actually, there's a. You got that backwards. You
So
have that hanger.
I had it right.
No. You have that. Flip it over.
Yes, you're right. But same deal here. See, look, two different size ones. If I drop a small one in there, guess what happens? Ah! Is that going to bolt down with a 1/4 inch ahead? No.
Okay.
Now, where does this?
That bracket
I see it. It's over here. That's this one.
right there. In the back.
Paint it.
I'm gonna go rub some kerosene on it. I'm getting this bitch together today.
I guess that's paint.
It's a fucking hanging bracket.
I don't care. It's got to look good.
Exactly. I don't care. I'm putting this thing together today. You got that part right.
But do you see what I mean though about just making sure that the heads are all the same
Yeah,
size? Because
yeah.
you have to have a certain amount of screw down in there. So with there being 3 different sizes, and obviously the 2 long ones are way the hell off there. These big mother.
Yeah, they're the big ones that go down.
Yeah, I just dropped them in place too. But you notice every one of them's got about 1 inch all the way around. So if you didn't have a book and you needed to reassemble bolts, this is the kind of thing that I do, or this is how I know just this bolt has to go here. Because if I use like I said, if I took one of these long ones, put in there. I mean, look at that. That bolt is way too big. The only time you really run into trouble is like if you had all these bolts mixed in with a bunch of other bolts and they were within like a half centimeter of each other, then it gets a hell of a lot harder. But as long as you have the exact bolts that came out, you can match it up with no
All right,
problem.
you,